So Fursey Gotuaco is a three-time district champion winner in District 25 and 85 in both table topics and international speech contests. In 2020, he reached the semifinals of the World Championship of Public Speaking and was a finalist in 2022. In August of 2020, he won District 25's Toastmaster of the Year. Fursey is an executive speech coach who has been teaching theater and speech for over 30 years. As a Toastmaster for over 5 years, he has been sharing his insights of successful speaking around the globe. Now he's ready to help you move forward on your personal speaking journey. Are you ready? Page the stage. Welcome, Fursey Gotuaco.
Thank you, Valerie. Oh my gosh, that's incredible. Thank you very much. And I've been sitting here for a few minutes now watching how all of you are working this, and it's great leadership. I mean, I'm super impressed. So thank you all for inviting me in. Thank you for having me. It's great to be amongst the American accent again. I'm sorry, I am here in China. And so all I hear are either Chinese accents or accents from everywhere else around the world. And it's great to be surrounded by American accents again. I did spend most of my life and all of my career in Texas, and it's just fantastic to hear it again. But thank you very much for inviting me, Valerie. District 103, we're going to be talking about how to take our speeches and getting them jazzed up from page to stage. You've written your speech. Now what do you do with it? By the way, as a side note, I don't really believe that we should write out our whole speech. Just so you know, I think outlines are better. And I'm definitely not a fan of note cards. I don't know who still does, but I definitely believe outline is better. That way you can manipulate. That way you can make shifts. That way you're not thinking about memorizing your speech. And that allows your brain to have more space to do all the fun things that we're going to talk about today. As a teacher, I don't believe that you can learn about speaking by listening to me. So if it's all right, we're going to be pretty interactive here, and I'm going to have you do some moving around. I'm going to have you do some speaking. I'm going to have you do some vocalizing, because that's what I think it's going to take to move your speaking to the next level. Wherever you think you're at, wherever you want to go to, let's get there. And we've got about 45 minutes to do so. If you can, would you go ahead and stand for me? Because I would like to do some physical warm-ups with you. All right? Would you go ahead and do that for me, please? And so the first thing we're going to do is roll our heads one way. There you go. Just loosen it up. And as we go, I'm going to explain why we're doing it. Good. And now roll it the other way. And the reason I'm having you do this is so when you watch the video, you're going to go, what are those nutty people doing? It's okay. We're just all waiting for the mothership. No, so, no, we're rolling our heads to get... Elizabeth, you okay? I saw you laughing. I thought our headphones are going to come flying through the video. We're rolling our heads. Good. And you can relax, just because I don't want you to get dizzy and pass out. But it does look like we're just sort of enjoying some nice music. You know, we have to remember that our heads can be so expressive, right? Expression starts with our heads. And so think about this. When we're speaking, how many different angles can we actually hold our heads? And by warming up our neck and warming up our head, we remember the different angles that our head can take. And not only that, but try this. If your head is straight up and down, look to your right and then to the left. And just the idea that our heads can pivot in all different directions. And it doesn't have to happen when we're speaking either. Consider engagement with the audience. You speak, and then you look for a reaction, even if it's just on a camera. Yes, yes, question mark. We're engaging with our audience, yes? If you take a look at the TI evaluation forms and they look under iFocus, iFocus isn't just binary, yes, you have it, no, you don't. iFocus can also be, are you checking? Are you checking for engagement? You know, like when a student, I don't know how many teachers we have in the group, but you know, when a teacher, when a student says, oh yeah, the dog ate my homework, and you're like, really? Really? That's what you're going with? So we can tilt our head to get that kind of expression. How many times in our speeches do we find that we just can't get all those words to express what we want? But with a 3-second look and no words, you can communicate so much. And it all starts with the idea that our heads can pivot, our heads can turn. Even looking upwards. When's the last time you saw a speaker look up? Like when you think about mentoring and you can see somebody grow like a tree. That's our heads, that's our eyes, right? And that's knowing that this part of our body can move. It doesn't just have to be this potato in the screen. Well, I mean, for me, it's a potato. You all have nice hair, but when you got this, all you got's a potato. All right, so no offense, Prince, we got the same haircut. That's all we got. So next thing is our shoulders. Would you take your shoulders and roll them up for me? Up, 1, 2, 3, and down, and up. 1, 2, 3, and down. Thank you, James. Great job. A lot of people say I do that really well. It comes from math class, you know. Fursey, what's the answer? I go, I don't know. So I learned that at a very young age. Hey, next thing, would you do this for me? Would you roll your arms forward for me? Try not to hit your desk because that's going to hurt, or the cat. I know some of you, you're like me, you got cats, you can't move them out of the way. You're like, I'm sorry, Fursey, I can't do Toastmasters, I got a cat on me. Good, and backwards. Good. Now, here we go. Truly talented people like Prince, truly talented people, 1 forward and 1 back. Oh yeah, come on, come on. You got 2 sides of your brain working at the same time. Tanya, you all right? 1 forward, 1 back, and then reverse it. There you go. Good. Next, do this with me. Keep your hips in place. All right, here's the challenge. Keep your hips in place, Mary Lou, but rotate just your upper torso. Oh, snap, crackle, pop. There you go, Mary. Keep your hips in place and rotate just your upper torso. Now, rotate both your upper and your lower torso. So you're spinning all the way down to your knees and ankles. Okay, here comes the challenging part. Are you ready, Sandra? Here we go. Now I'd like for you to rotate your upper torso one way and your lower torso the other. Yeah, you heard me right. Upper torso one way, Charles, and lower torso the other way. Don't let the headphones get in the way, Charles. I know some of you can cheat because the camera ain't pointing down, but I'm going to demonstrate. Don't worry, Charles. I got pants on. So you got to rotate and go in different directions. Good. Good. Go ahead and have a seat. Now you're wondering, why in the world did we just do that? We have to remind ourselves that movement is going to include our entire body. Even when we're on Zoom, we get energy from our bodies. We get energy from our legs. We translate all of that into this point right here. Now, also consider times when you have to point backwards. When would you ever have to do this? PowerPoints? Yeah? PowerPoints, PPT? so many times, and you've seen this. I needed exercise. Thanks, Valerie. You've seen this when people do a PowerPoint, they tend to gravitate towards it. They tend to use it all the time. And now we're looking at the back of our head like it's some kind of new projection screen, right? You're projecting on the potato. So using our hands, we can gesture this way. This is our PowerPoint. I'm not saying we all have a future career as weathermen. Okay, Prince, we ain't going to be weathermen going, over here, we're going to have some rain, and over here, more rain. You know, what we're going to do, though, is we can point to our PowerPoint and keep our eyes this way, because this is where the audience wants to see us, right? This is what the audience wants to see. They want to see that good-looking face, Ronald. So let them see it. Don't deprive your audience of that. But we got to be able to do this, and that's where this gesture happens. We warm up our arms. And then, of course, you adjust where you move, and now you've got that. Oh my gosh, I've seen people, and they stand right here, and they just keep doing this. But 1 step, 2 steps, 5 steps, depending on whether you're live or on Zoom, and now you've got your whole other hand going on. So you can point towards your PowerPoint and still make eye contact. If you'll remember, one of the things I had you do was also to have your hands going in different directions. Yes? And I didn't do that just because I wanted you to, you know, do Tai Chi. That's not what this is about. You're like, what's Fursey teaching us? I don't know. But I seem to hear the music. Everybody was kung fu fighting going on in the background. No. It's not that. But the idea is, I can gesture back here with one hand and use the other hand to gesture to my audience. I've got hands going in all different directions. And it's not that we've got to keep them going like some kind of magic show, but it is to say that this picture right here, I keep that shifting. If it's just with my head or with my eyes or with my hands, this probably comes from 30 years of teaching. 30 years of teaching, you get used to keeping your eyes forward so that kids aren't throwing things at you. Right? Exactly. Because you never know. You turn your back on them, next thing you know, the back of the classroom's on fire. So I can gesture this way to my PowerPoint. I can gesture this way to my audience and point and say, yes, question, yes, good answer, yes, back of the room. And then, because I've done my warm-ups and I've got my body going in different directions, shoulder one way, hips going the other, right? Eyes are going that way. So not only have I used my hands going in different directions, but I've also got my hip and my torso pivoting. I can do what my mind wants my body to do, if we simply remind ourselves that this is all within our control. This is all within our control as speakers. There's nothing I'm telling you that you can't do. There's nothing I'm telling you that you probably didn't already know. You just hadn't thought about it yet. It's kind of like buying something, a tool, IKEA, anything, and we just didn't have the instruction manual. This is a simple instruction manual. So physically, we can use our bodies, we can pivot, we can move, we can gesture, both directions. Now, the other reason why we might want to gesture backwards. Consider a time when you were trying to explain your past. Before Toastmasters, yes, before Toastmasters, and then now that I'm in Toastmasters, and then my future. We can use depth as a way to describe a timeline. Exactly. We don't think about that, do we? Consider this. There are 3 planes, Planes, And don't worry, I wasn't very good at math, but this is probably the one mathematical term I'm going to use. Geometric planes. Yes, Planes, geometric planes. Here's one of them right here. This plane, like a glass window, divides this side from this side, left from right, depending on which side you're looking on. We tend to stay right here with our gestures. We tend to stay here and we tend to stay here. When you cross those planes, whoa, it just got really interesting. I mean, you're not going to say that out loud. You're not watching the speaker going, interesting. No, but in your mind, it's different. In your mind, you see something differently. And that's keeping it awake. Yes? So this is one plane. Use your hands to cross the plane or to move across that plane. It changes the audience perception. The second plane is right here. It divides top from bottom. Most people, when they gesture right at elbow height. They don't change. They gesture right here, right? Their gestures are right here. Usually their palms are up. I have a name for this. You know what I mean? When people gesture and they just sort of go, this is so important, and their hands are just doing this. I call this forklift. You know, beep, 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 right? The first time somebody joins Toastmasters, they're doing their icebreaker, they got forklift. They got forklift going on, right? Forklift. The first 3 levels of speeches, forklift. They finally got their hands off the lectern and they turned into a forklift. I am here to deliver a message. Oh, come on now. What does this usually mean? It means I got nothing. It means I don't know. Now, how in the world can you give a speech, a presentation to the people at work where you're supposed to have all the information and all the data, and you do this? Because subliminally you're communicating, I don't got it. Yeah. So most gestures are here. What we want to do is break that gesture so that our hands are going higher. Not so you look like a marionette, but start to gesture not at your elbow, but start to gesture at your shoulder. Move your elbows away from your body. Now, some of us, we know this from basketball, right? You use your elbows, get yourself a little room or a little hockey move, yes? But in Toastmasters, we incorporate that to make ourselves look bigger. Not just on the screen, but even live. If it's live, you really want to get bigger. So all you got to do is remember to move your elbows away from your body. So that's this plane. Now the gestures are up. Now the gestures are above our heads even. When's the last time you saw a speaker move their hands above their heads? But it's fair game, isn't it? It's fair game to gesture above us. And it breaks that plane. Here's the last plane, and it's the one we started with, this plane right here. It separates front from back. When we break that plane, again, it gives depth. It changes what the audience perceives as a limitation. It changes what the audience perceives as a limitation. When the audience thinks that there's a limitation there, when the audience thinks they know exactly what you're going to do, they go to sleep. As soon as they think they know exactly what you're going to do, they go to sleep. When you have a rhythm, you're dead. You have to change your rhythm. You have to change what the audience is going to do. If you're only going to gesture with your right hand, they'll fall asleep. The moment you start to do this, they're going to, oh, that's something different. Right there in the back of their lizard brain, oh, okay, something's different. Something is different. I'm going to pay attention. So physically, that's what we do. Now, here's the next thing with our gestures that we can look at. Would you do this for me?
Hey, Fursey, I think you're frozen. Am I seeing this?
Frozen.
Oh no.
Hey, frozen.
Okay, he probably had to log out and then come back in.
Am I back in yet?
Oh yeah, you're back.
Yes.
Where did I lose you? I'm so sorry. Where did I lose you?
You said, do this.
Okay, good deal. You haven't missed much then. You take your hand, and if you would raise one of your hands with me, please, and then put it down. Good. How fast did that take? About a split second, maybe 1 second, yes? And most people's gestures are about that length of time. They gesture and then what we're going to talk about here is duration. Now try this for me. Put your hand back up again. And you're going to lower it with me, all right? I'm going to give you a 5-second count. Ready? And go. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. That wasn't that hard, was it? And yet you know we don't do that. But imagine when you're trying to describe something like your heart falling. Imagine when you're trying to describe your hopes falling. Duration. Would you do this for me? Take one hand, put it on the side, the edge of your screen, wherever you think the edge of your screen is. And now you're going to move it across with me. Ready? We're going to take 15 seconds. Go. 15, 14, 13, 12, 11, 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Now imagine describing something that happened, like watching your father walk across the room. He walked towards the door. He walked past my mother. He stopped. He picked up his bag. He opened the door. And he walked through the door. That was the last time I ever saw my father. We can create an image. We can galvanize an image in our audience's mind simply with duration of time. Gestures don't have to happen in a second. Gestures can take a moment, and we can use our hands to do that. Where we move them and how we move them, what direction we move them, and for how long. What is that duration? The last thing is our hands. You've got your hands up. Most people gesture with their blades, right? Like we're about to go to, I don't know, kung fu fighting. We're about to go eat Japanese food where they're hibachi and they're cooking in front of you. But not everyone wants to be a hibachi chef. Other times we can use our hands, right, Tanya? Right. Sometimes we can use our hands and change the shape, make a round shape. Good. Make a curved shape. Oh, our hands can do so much. Our hands can do so many things. Now try this. Go back to round and open it with me. Open it with me on my count. Ready? 15. Go ahead. 15, 14, 13, 12, 11, 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. And that's how I learned to give my heart to others. I don't know what you're going to say in your speech. I can tell you it doesn't have to happen at the speed of speaking. Yes, we can slow it down. We can slow down both our gestures and our speaking. If you look at page 3 of the Toastmaster evaluation resources, page 3. You guys didn't even know there was a page 3, did you? Everyone looks at page 1 and everybody circles all the numbers on page 2. No one ever looks at page 3. They're like, there's nothing for me to do on page 3. Why should I look at it, coach? Because on page 3, it breaks it down. It shows you how to get from a 3 to a 4. And that's usually the hardest part. When you're evaluating someone, you can see a 1, you can see a 5. How are you going to coach them to get from a 3 to a 4? And ultimately, isn't that our job? Isn't that our job as leaders in Toastmasters, is to help people go from here to here? We got to get from a 3 to a 4. And when you look at gestures, they talk about engagement and they talk about how gestures support a speech. Match the gesture with the speaking. You can do that with duration, and you can do that with a set gesture. Have a set gesture that matches the theme of what you're saying. So for example, if you're saying, give your heart, that's your message, give your heart. And how many times do we say that, Valerie? In our speeches, we got to say it 3 times, right? We're taught. Do it in the introduction, right, Maren? Do it in the introduction, do it in the body, do it in the
Conclusion.
Yes, absolutely. Intro, body, conclusion, 3 times. Give your heart. That's our message. That's our theme. So you have a gesture that matches it. Give your heart. And then when you're talking in the introduction, you're saying, I'm here to talk about how we give our heart to people. And then in your body, you're like, and so when I was doing this with my family, I learned, oh my gosh, he was giving his heart. And so in conclusion, my fellow Americans, we've got to learn to give our heart. It's the same basic gesture, but we go from 1 hand to 2 hands to shorter to a longer duration. It's the same gesture. We just extrapolate a slightly different meaning to give it a little bit more pump and punch. Yes? There it is. That's our physicality. Oh my gosh, I'm 30 minutes behind where I should be. So I'm going to speed up just a little bit. Next thing we're going to do. Don't you hate it when you're speaking and all of a sudden a projector shows up in front of your face? All right. So next thing we're going to do are some vocal warm-ups. Would you do this with me? These letters. Please say these letters with me. It's just going to be TD. All right. Ready? Like touchdown. All right. I know you Chicago Bear fans, you haven't had said that in a while. No, just kidding. Just kidding. I just lost all you Bears fans, right? I'm so sorry. I'm in China. Any kind of football's good football. All right. Hey, listen, make this sound for me. Duh. 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 Would you try that with me back at home? Duh. Duh. Duh.
Yeah.
Duh.
Yeah.
Duh.
Yeah.
Good. And now the next line. Would you do the next line down? And that's going to be the PB. Ready? Buh. 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 Good. And now the KG. KG. Guh. Guh.
Go.
Guh.
Go.
Guh.
Go.
Y'all doing well. Y'all are doing really well. I don't know what the person in the next room is thinking you're doing. They probably think you're a little nuts, especially after the whole woo. But I tell you, all are doing really well. Hey, tell me why I paired these letters together. I see Bessie, and Bessie's having a good time. Bessie, tell me why I would have put these letters together. Why would I put the T and the D together? I know you're sitting there going, how does he put his hand up there? Right? You're going, how is that square showing up and not blocking his face?
I am actually wondering that. I think the reason you pair those is because they sound the same if you don't pronounce them correctly.
Yes! Bessie, way to go. I ask that question all the time, and most people are like, I don't know. Nailed it.
You are hilarious while teaching, and I love it.
Thank you. My students would always say that. They go, Mr. G, you're funny looking. Okay, so here, I was like, thanks a lot, kid. I was like, some people's kids. Always a comedian. All right, so here's the thing. Yes, Bessie, you nailed it. The sounds are made exactly the same. The T and the D are made the same way. What part of the mouth do we use to make the TD? Duh. Duh. James, thoughts on that? Duh. Duh.
Tongue.
What part of the mouth are we using? Yes, sir?
T.
Duh.
The tongue at the
Yes,
top
sir.
of the mouth.
Your tongue and
Yes,
teeth.
sir. The tip of the tongue, yes? Very
Tip of the tongue and the
specifically,
teeth.
it's right at the tip of the tongue. Duh. Exactly. And then the buh. Buh. Juanita, what part of my mouth am I using to make the buh sound? Daphne, you look like you were trying to communicate something with me. What you got? What you got? Yes, ma'am. Yeah, right at the front.
Lips.
Buh, the lip. Thank you, Patricia.
Mhm.
P. Buh. And then the KG, that's at the back of the mouth, isn't it? Guh. That's the back of the tongue. That's you see how we're talking about different parts of the tongue. And so when we're giving feedback to people, when you and I, when we're giving evaluations, we're giving feedback, and it says clarity of voice, we're like, oh yeah, I heard it. Oh no, I didn't hear it. It's more than binary. It's like, yes, I hear these sounds, but not those sounds. I hear the sounds in the beginning of the word, but not the ends of the word, or not the middle of the word. I hear the clarity in your voice, but when you speed up, I lose the clarity. This is how we move people from 3 to 4. This is how we get better as speakers, because we're very surgical and we're very strategic about how we get better. So find the tongue twisters that help that speaker. Let's do more. Yes, let's do more for our members. Let's think about, what am I hearing? What am I not hearing? Now try this tongue twister to help with those sounds, because different tongue twisters work on different sounds. Different tongue twisters work on different sounds. So let's help each other with those particular tongue twisters that move. Do we need to move the sound forward? Do we need to move the tongue around to the back of the mouth? How do we need to do that? And the reason why, and Bessie did touch on this, the G, one is voiced, one is not voiced. So sometimes people aren't pushing enough air out. They're not pushing enough air past their vocal cords. So both the T and the D sound alike, and it shouldn't. One should sound thicker, and that's the D because it's voiced. Would you all say this with me? And I know you know this because you say it every week, don't you? Okay, here we go. All together. Ready? 1, 2, 3.
We
We
provide
provide
a supportive and
positive
learning experience
in
in which
members are empowered to
empowered
develop
to develop
communication,
communication,
leadership
leadership
skills,
skills,
resulting
in
in
greater
confidence
self-confidence
self-confidence
and
growth.
personal growth.
Fantastic. How many breaths did you take?
About
A
5.
lot.
What are you talking about, Fursey? There you go, Gary. There you go. You right? There's a lot of breaths in there. We have to count our breaths. We have to know where the breaths happen. Why? Because Fursey says you're only allowed 1 key word per breath.
Whoa.
What? That's right. You are only allowed one, count them. 1 key word per breath. I've just used a bunch of vocabulary that you have no idea what I'm talking about. What's a key word? What do you mean breath? I mean, we all know what breathing is, but what do you mean a breath? So let's go into that. First, let's talk about another big word that we need to know before we get moving on that. That is resonance. 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 What is the meaning of resonance?
The way that the sound is in your mouth before it comes out of your mouth.
Yes, the way the sound is in our mouth, the fullness of the sound. Yes, the fullness of a sound. Let's think about this. You go knocking on a door, you go knocking at your friend's door, and you go knock, 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 and you hear roof, roof, roof. Now, what are you thinking? You're thinking, man, that thing is gonna nip at my ankle, and I'm not gonna be a happy camper. And then you go back to your friend's house. A month later, you knock, 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 and you're roof, roof. Right, Bessie? Now you're like, I think I'll take a step back. I hope my neighbor, you know what I mean? You just like hold the dog back. Don't let it eat me. So we judge things. We can't help it. We judge things with that little lizard part in our brain, the little part that's like fight or flight, fight or flight. That little part tells us something, and we hear sounds and we associate things with that sound. Size, importance. You're driving along the road and you happen to spend a little too much time in the left lane and you hear a beep, beep. You're like, yeah, whatever, tourist, you know. we're a little sarcastic about it. The next time you're driving on the left lane, you're like, oh, let me get out of the way. We naturally associate size, importance, velocity, danger with the sound. Part of that is our resonance. Not all of it, but it is part of it. Would you say this sentence with me? It's a nice little sentence that I think every one of us can say in the morning when we wake up. All right? Let me say it first. Today I will speak with a rich, round, resonant voice. All together now. 1, 2, 3.
Today I
will
will
speak
speak a rich,
resonant
voice.
Excellent. Very good. When you say it, would you make sure to hit the K on speak? K on speak. One more time. Ready? 1, 2, 3.
Today I will speak a rich,
resonant voice.
There you go. If I were using this tongue twister, which I do, if I were using this to help my club members, I would talk about the K on speak. Thank you, timer. The I on rich. Rich. Round. Vowel sounds. Make that nice big O sound. Big hamburger. Yeah. I get caught up on hamburger. I'm in China and I don't get hamburgers very often. Round, right? Round. Resonant. We want that resonant voice. Tomorrow morning when you wake up, the first thing you do when you wake up, before you even reach for your cell phone, Joseph. All right, come on now. I know you like the rest of us. You wake up and you reach for your cell phone, Juanita. Instead, say something like, hello world, and you're gonna find that your voice is gonna sound awesome. When you first wake up, that's the most natural and resonant sounding your voice is. After that, you wake up, you turn off your alarm clock, you're all stressed out, you're trying to get the cat off of you. Oh, you get your shoulders start to, I'm so stressed, I gotta go to work. Relax, go to Toastmasters and relax. All right, so that's all part of what we have to do vocally. We have to relax our shoulders. That's why we did the 1 up, 1 down thing. And we want to have that nice, relaxed voice when we speak. Because when our voice is stressed out, our audiences hear that. They hear a tenor of stress. They get stressed. That's not the way anybody wants to hear a speech. I talked about keywords. The key word is the word that unlocks the meaning of a sentence. The key word is the word that unlocks the meaning of a sentence. I'm going to repeat that. See what I did there? You ever get that feeling of deja vu, Valerie? Do you ever get that feeling of deja vu? All right, that was like one of the worst jokes I ever did in my life. And I'm so glad Elizabeth is laughing at it. Okay, so she gets an A. So here's the thing. The key word unlocks the meaning because you can't stress every single word in a sentence. You can't. You're going to sound like a nut job. Look at this, right? I love you. Oh my gosh. Yeah, it's like your mother-in-law came to visit. Stop. Pull back. So you got to stress one of those words. And depending on which one you stress, it changes the meaning. For example, come on, say this one to yourself. I love you, right? I love you, not Prince. Prince doesn't love you. I love you. Prince just wants to sell you insurance. I love you. Does this make sense? So you don't sell insurance, do you, Prince? He just wants to sell you another Mac computer. Okay, so I love you, not Mary Lou. I love you. Mary Lou just wants to sell you nice haircuts. I love you, on the other hand, because it's not about the haircut. Now change that. If you key a different word, I love you. I love you, not Sandra. I just like Sandra because she has nice, she makes a nice cake and cookies and other desserts, but I love you. So we focus on a different word. we put all our meaning on that word. Now, how we do that, how we stress it, we can do it a variety of different ways. We could put pauses in the middle of it, of the sentence. We can put pauses after the word, before the word. We can raise our volume. We can lower our volume. We can change it. So for example, if I want to key now, you know this is coming. If I want to key the middle word. Now, we can go with just volume, go, I love you. But there's no meaning in that, is there? Right? There's no meaning in that, Myron. There's no meaning in that. But if I say, Sandra, instead I go, I love you. You know, because that's the first time that guy's ever said that word. You know what I'm saying? Right? 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 When those guys are emotionally unavailable, and all of a sudden he pops that word out. I love you. Now all of a sudden there's meaning in that line. There's meaning not just in the literal sense, but in the contextual sense. That's what Fursey sounds like when he was 25 years old, and for the first time in his life, he said, I love you to his mother. So these are the different things that we can do. Now, the way that I mark it up in a sentence, you guys remember this? Today I will speak with a rich, round, resonant voice. If I want to key this word, resonant, I have to make sure that I have enough oxygen. I have to make sure I have enough oxygen. Thank you, timer. Today I will speak with a rich, round, resonant voice. But it's hard to do that. It's hard to have enough oxygen by the time I get the resonant. So I've got to make sure to take a breath probably somewhere beforehand. Today, and now I'm keying today, today, I will speak with a rich, round, resonant voice. We don't have time because I've wasted too much time talking about Prince and our good-looking haircut, but you'll notice that you can actually mark up a script with breaths and pauses. Breaths and pauses. Not only that, but you have keywords, primary keywords, and you have secondary keywords. So it's not like you can only have one keyword per sentence or per paragraph, but it's one keyword per breath. If you want more keywords, take more breaths. It's that simple. If you want more keywords, take more breaths. What's the downside? Well, it's going to take you a little longer to say your speech. That 5 to 7 minute speech probably became 5 to 7.5 minute speech. So you have to be aware of that if you're in contest. One keyword per breath. Well, we've talked a lot about our physicality. We've talked a lot about our eye focus. We've talked about our gestures. We've talked about how we can clean up our sound. We've talked about keywords and how we can emphasize our key messages using our physicality, using our sound, using our breaths, and how we focus on the key words within a sentence. This altogether, the package is how you have a greater impact on your audience. I hope this has been useful to you. We got about halfway through what I wanted to say. We'll do it again next year, okay? Hey, we've got a group online on WhatsApp. We've got a WhatsApp group, and we do table topics. It's free, doesn't cost a thing. If you want to join up and practice your table topics or any other kind of speeches, you give feedback, go ahead and scan this code, and we'll have some fun internationally. Thanks for having me. Back to you, Madam Toastmaster.
All right. Thank you so much. Keep that up so they can scan that code. I'm about to scan it myself. I really enjoyed myself. Every time I see Fursey, I am either tickled, laughing so hard, and then I just love the interaction as well. And that's the reason why we brought you here, because Toastmasters is all about that. It's all about, speaking eloquently, and then also, like you said, projection and knowing how to project, knowing how to position your body. And a lot of that has been lost because of us not being in person, but we want to continue that. So when we do get in person and we in that room presenting, we know exactly how to move our bodies and project. And I hope that everyone had scanned the code here. And then we also have a survey for Fursey. If you can fill that out, I'll put it in the chat again, because I know that everybody's excited. I'm excited that you're here. Do anyone have any like questions for Fursey? I definitely want to give about like 4 minutes before we close out for Fursey. Just come off and just ask. We'll have like 3 people ask a question. And just raise your hand.
Gary?
Yes, Fursey, thank you so much. This was very exciting, entertaining, and engaging. I got a lot out of it. I do have a question that occurred to me, that you use a lot of physicality and you had us standing up. Not all of our members have that mobility. I saw where you could use the planar concepts of the 3Ds. How else might that be adapted in terms of the physicality for someone who may have more limited mobility?
That's a great question. That's a great question. You go from feet to inches. You simply adjust. You go from feet to inches. So let me adjust this real quick. So instead of like going like this, now I'm adjusting to within the camera. I'm seated and I'm here and I'm here and I'm here. And I make sure that my hands are moving asymmetrically. We tend to move our hands symmetrically. Realize that you can just do one, and then you can even gesture to the other one. So even within this space, and all I'm doing is moving my hands, I can adjust. Depth. Hope that answers your question, Gary. Thank you.
It does. Thank you. I think that'll be beneficial for many.
Yes,
Thank you, Gary. All right, we have James Willis.
Yes, Fursey, excellent presentation. Enjoyed all of it. You obviously are very adept and knowledgeable in the material, and it's more than doing one session. I was curious to know, where could I learn these skills and develop my voice so that I could have a powerful and impactful voice that shows up when I want it to every day, and not just when I'm getting ready to do a Toastmasters speech.
Well, I'm glad you asked that, James. And now I'm going to sell you my book. No. For just $14.99, James, you too can. No, I don't have a book. I am a speech coach, but that's not what this is about. I think what you want to do, James, is, and for anybody, is every day work on your voice. I hum before I speak. Hum, just like that. Some people mention choir. That's part of it, right? Just humming. Everybody try that with me. Yeah, you see, now the mothership knows how to find us. No. I hum for about 90 minutes before I speak. Like if I've got a big presentation, I hum. And you work on relaxing and allowing that voice to come out naturally. We all have that voice, James. We all have that voice. We were born with it. That's why you can hear a baby cry in a crowded place. You can hear a baby's voice piercing the sound. It's just that we tend to, our insecurity, it gets us to minimize, and the stress cramps our voice down. So if you're humming and you're relaxing and you're doing those kinds of warm-ups, even your athletic warm-ups, anybody, even those kinds of athletic warm-ups, you can do those every day and before you speak, and it will become natural, and you'll learn to speak naturally as we were designed to do.
Okay, great. I know we're coming to the end, and I know we can't take any more questions, but if Fursey, could you leave your contact information for those who want to ask a question for you that didn't get a chance to ask?
Yes, absolutely. Let me put it in the chat.
Yeah, you can put it in the chat. And then for those who want to ask Fursey a question, please reach out to them. And I just really want to say thank you, Fursey. I will be sending you a certification certificate of participation for being such a great workshop facilitator, being our guest, coming all the way from Beijing, China. That is amazing. Can you tell everybody what time it is right now?
It is 4 in the morning. 4 a.m. I haven't even had time to put my hair on. I'm going out there looking like Gary, man.
Well, I just want to say it was a pleasure of having you here, Fursey, for our 2023 Winter TLI. It was a pleasure, and we definitely will have you come back again. Oh my God, we definitely have to have you here a little bit longer because this is just not enough of Fursey.
Thank you,
honestly, Valerie, this needs to be a separate session.
Oh yeah, most definitely. It has to be a different session, most definitely. And so now we have come to the end of our Toastmasters Leadership Institute. And everyone, I hope that you got a lot out of this great event. And oh my God, it just like I don't think I took notes. I'm just waiting for the recording because I couldn't take notes and listen at the same time. But I am going to apply this, and I hope that you also apply what you learned today from Matt Abrahams to Fursey Gotuaco, our great 4-session education trainers, and our club officer trainers as well, who are getting our club officers up to speed to end that year well. And I know our program quality director, she do have some last minute words that she wants to share with you. So I welcome back to the stage, Sandra Lane.
Hey, hello. Fursey, thank you for that very energetic and dynamic session. We needed that for our afternoon session. So thank you very much. And maybe I'll take this opportunity. We can invite you back for our next TLI because I think we have an audience willing to hear you again. So we will reach out. Thank you so much. But for everyone else, I want to thank you so much for spending your morning and much of your afternoon with us. I think Valerie, and let's give her a round of applause, she has done a phenomenal job in presenting us with a great amount of valuable information and training for this TLI session. Now, for our vice presidents and VPEs, take note of your officers that were in attendance today. And we've had a record number of people here today, so I'm very, very impressed. But for those officers that weren't able to make it, please make a note of that. I will be sending out a message to presidents and VPEs of the makeup trainings that we have scheduled. So make sure that they are coming. The first one starts November 20th, and the last one will be December 19th. So we have 5 sessions coming up. So as presidents and VPEs, we're relying on you to encourage the rest of your officers. We want to do better than we did for the first training session. So tag, it's on you guys to help us get there. But this was phenomenal. Thank you so much. Enjoy the rest of your afternoon.
All right. Thank you, everyone, for coming. And that is the end. It concludes our Toastmasters Leadership Institute. And thank you for coming. It's very memorable, and this is just for you.
Thank you. You did a great job.
Yes,
thank you, Charles.
Well done.
Awesome.
Great job. Bye.